Welcome to the continuation of our English lesson. We're going to take a look at no sooner had and hardly had. Okay, so what are no sooner had and hardly had? What do they mean? So no sooner had and hardly had, they mean as soon as or right after. Okay? So they show that one thing happened and then another thing happened quickly. Okay? So one thing happens, then just after that, something else happens. Okay? That's where you use no sooner had and hardly had to mean as soon as or right after. So here are some key rules to keep in mind when using no sooner had and hardly had. Okay, so you have to start with no sooner had or hardly had, and of course, in real life they'll tell you. Okay, they'll tell you to start with no sooner had or hardly had. So these two words are followed by the subject. The subject is the many content of the sentence. Okay, maybe that too is not going to be easy to understand. Okay, so subjects are words like he, she, I, okay, they, okay. So those are the words that are going to follow no sooner had or hardly had. Okay, words like he, she, they, we, I, it. Okay, then after that you have to put a past participle. Okay, a past participle. So this is a tense of a verb. So in short, after no sooner had and hardly had, there will be a subject. After a subject, there's going to be a verb, but that verb must be in the past participle tense. For example, if the word is score, it will be scored. If it's arrive, it will be arrived. If it's eat, what would be the past participle? If the verb is eat, okay, like eating, so what would be the past participle? Okay, so just a second, what comment if you can the past participle of eat? So it's eaten. Okay, so the point is we don't want the past tense, but we want the past participle. There's a difference between a past tense and a past participle. A past tense refers to a verb or an action that happened some time ago. But a past participle, it is something that is just from happening. Okay? So the past tense of it is ate, which refers to something that happened some time ago. But if you are from eating, the word that has to be used is eaten. Okay, so that is a past participle. However, there are some verbs whose past tense and past participle are the same. For example, score. Okay, the past tense of score and the past participle of score is scored. Okay, same as arrive. In fact, most verbs, their past tense and past participle are the same, but there are some such as take, eat, go. The past tense and the past participle are different. Okay, so the pattern is you have to start with no sooner had or hardly had, followed by the subjects such as they, I, it, we. Okay, then the past participle. Okay, the second point is after you finish this, you have to put the word than for no sooner. So if you are starting with no sooner, you have to put than. Okay, and if you are starting with hardly had, you have to put when. So hardly had goes with when, well, no sooner had goes with than. Okay? Then after that, you have to write what happened next. So the first part talks about the thing that happened first. Then after than or when, you have to write what happened next. That's how to use no sooner had and hardly had. So you have to use past tense because when you're using no sooner had or hardly had, you are referring to something that happened in the past. Okay? It's not about something that is happening or that is in the future. Always, it is something that has happened already. Okay? So the tense for the entire sentence has to show that it is referring to the past. Okay? So even for, for the second action, what happened next, it has to be in past tense to refer to what happened in the past. Okay? So that's the pattern. No sooner had, you start with no sooner had or hardly had, then you put a subject, then the past participle, then than or when, depending on which one you have started with. If you have started with no sooner, you put than. If you have started with hardly, you put when. Then after that, you write what happened next in past tense because it happened in the past. Okay, so now to summarize the rules of rewriting, first you have to find the first action. So two things are going to happen, but you have to ask yourself what happened first and who did it. Okay, once you know what happened first and who did it, for example, it can be scored and who scored. Okay, after that, you can start with no sooner had or hardly had, depending on the question. Then you write the subject. So the subject, you get it from who did it. Okay? That's where you get the subject. Then after that, you write the action. Okay? Then you have to add than or when plus the second action. So this is the summary of how to rewrite. So to understand this one better, we learn through examples. So let's take a look at 10 good examples just to make us comfortable with the use of no sooner had and hardly had. And don't forget the meaning of no sooner had and hardly had. First, they mean the same thing, which means they can be interchanged. They can give you a statement that has no sooner had, then they want you to start with hardly had. Okay? So all you have to do is to remember that no sooner had goes with than, or hardly had goes with when. Okay? Don't forget that. So start with question 1. As soon as the Zambian soccer team scored, the whole stadium cheered wildly. Okay, so there are two things that happened here. The Zambia soccer team scored, then the whole stadium cheered, right? Okay, so this happened first, then this happened second. And who scored? The Zambian soccer team. Okay, so we start. If the question says begin no sooner, so you start no sooner, then you put had. Sometimes they'll put had. They'll say begin no sooner had. But if they just say begin no sooner, don't forget that after no sooner, you need had. Okay, no sooner had. Then what happened? The Zambian soccer team scored. Okay, so no sooner had, the subject is the Zambian soccer team. Okay, the ones who did the action. Okay, so no sooner had the subject. After the subject, of course, the action in past participle. The action in past participle. Okay, so no sooner had the Zambian soccer team scored than, because it's no sooner, it goes with than. Okay, than what happened next. What is the second action? Okay, the whole stadium cheered wildly. So the whole stadium cheered wildly. As you can see, the second statement is in past tense. Okay, making the whole sentence to show that this is not happening now, will not happen in the future, it happened in the past. Okay, so just a recap. Start with no sooner. Don't forget to put had if there is no had. Then you write the subject, the person, the thing that did the first action. In this case, the Zambian soccer team. What did they do? They scored. Then after that, you put than. Now you write the second action, okay, which is the whole stadium cheered wildly, okay. Number 2, Hadri had lion roared when people took to their heels. This is nice English here. What does it mean to take to your heels? It means you ran like mad, okay. So Hadri had lion roared when people took to their heels, okay. So we have 2 actions here. The lion roared, then people took to their heels, okay. So they are saying begin with no sooner. We know no sooner and Hadri had, they are one and the same. They have the same meaning, okay. So all we have to do is to replace Hadri had with no sooner, okay, with no sooner had. So no sooner had, the lion roared, the lion roared. Now in Hadri there is when. Well, in no sooner you have to put than. So this when you replace it with than, okay. Than people took to their heels. So it's the same sentence. All have changed is Hadri had has been replaced with no sooner had, and when has been replaced with than, okay. The third one, as soon as she opened the door, the dog ran out. As soon as she opened the door, the dog ran out. 2 things happened here. The door was opened. The second is the dog ran out, okay? So they're saying begin no sooner. Remember, no sooner had means as soon as, okay? So what we can do is we replace as soon as with no sooner had. So as soon as she opened the door, no sooner had she opened the door, then no sooner should have than, okay? So if you look at the first sentence that has as soon as, there is a comma here, okay? So for a sentence that has as soon as, it will always have a comma here, okay? So when the first action completes, there will be a comma, then the second action. So where there is a comma here, that's where you put than, okay? So it will be than the dog ran out, okay? So sometimes they can give you this sentence. No sooner had she opened the door than the dog ran out. Then they'll say begin as soon as. So the principle is the same. No sooner had becomes as soon as. Everything is the same. Then in no sooner had there is than. So you remove this than, you put a comma. So we have like 3 patterns here. When we have no sooner had, we put than. When we have as soon as, we put a comma. Then when we have Hadri had, we put when, okay? Same meaning. As soon as, comma, no sooner had, than, and Hadri had, when, okay? 4, the power went off as soon as I finished my homework. 2 things happened. I finished my homework and the power went off, okay? So they want us to begin with Hadri had. So what's the first action? I finished my homework, okay? So be careful with this one. The power went off as soon as I finished my homework. I finished my homework first, then the power went off. So the action that happened first was finishing my homework, okay? Then after that, the power went off, okay? So after Hadri had, you have to start with the first action, which is finishing my homework, okay? And who finished the homework? It's me, okay? So Hadri had I, okay? It's my homework, so Hadri had I finished my homework, the first action. Then Hadri had is followed by when. So when, what happened next? The power went off. The power went off, okay? So it is as simple as that. Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be number 5. Forgive me here. As soon as the bell rang, the students left the room. 2 things happened. The bell rang, the students left the room, right? So begin no sooner. So the entire as soon as you put no sooner had, okay, the bell rang. Now here is an interesting observation. Here there's rang, here there's rang with you. Okay, so this is the past participle. This is a past tense. Okay, this is a past tense, this is a past participle. Remember, you have to use a past participle. Okay, so make sure that you acquaint yourself with some past participle of some uncommon, or not uncommon, but for those verbs whose past tense are not the same as past participle. For those in my class, you can request, I can share with you a list of verbs whose past participle is different from the past tense. Okay? Then from there, where there is a comma, you put than the students left the room. Question 6. The sun came out as soon as it stopped raining. Okay? The sun came out as soon as it stopped raining. So what happened first? The rain stopped. What happened next? The sun came out. Okay? So if the question says use hardly had, so you write hardly had the first action, which is the rain stopping. Hardly had the rain stopped. Okay? So here it says stopped raining. So hardly had the rain stopped. Then you have to put when the second action, the sun came out. Okay? So this is the same as the ones we've been looking at, but as soon as has been put inside the sentence to confuse you, but the meaning is the same. Identify the first action, identify the second action, okay? And identify the subject. Then you start with hardly had, the subject, in this case, what stopped happening? The rain, okay? The rain stopped, then when, then after that, you write the second action, the sun came out. 7. As soon as he shouted, everyone turned to look. So he shouted, people tend to look, right? So the first action is he shouted. So if they said use no sooner, it would be no sooner had he shouted than the second action, everyone tend to look. 8. The waiter arrived as he was just sitting down. The waiter arrived as he was just sitting down. There are two people here. It's not the waiter who arrived and, well, he was still sitting down. There was someone who was waiting for the waiter. So the waiter arrived, then this someone was just sitting down. Okay? So what happened first between the waiter arriving and sitting down? Sitting down happened first. When he was just sitting down, the waiter arrived. Okay? So it will be hardly had supposed to be hardly had he, not we. I made a mistake. It's he. Hardly had he sat down when the waiter arrived. Hardly had he sat down when the waiter arrived. Number 9. As soon as the car started, it broke down. So it started and then broke down. So first it started. Second, it broke down. So the first action is starting. So begin no sooner. No sooner had the car started than it broke down. The last one, the rain started when the game was about to begin. Okay? The rain started when the game was about to begin. So, I feel like we've looked at this example, but anyway, let's see how the question is, what they want us to do. The rain started when the game was about to begin. So, the other question was about the rains and the sun. Okay. So this is about the rains and the game. So the rain started when the game was about to begin. Okay, so they want to start, playing the game. The rain started. What happened first? They were about to start playing the game. That's what happened first. Then the rain started. Okay, it can't be the rain started first. Then they wanted to start playing the game. Okay, why would they want to start playing the game when the rain had started? Okay, so here they wanted to start the game. Okay? Actually, they were about to start the game. Then the rain started. So they want us to use Hadri. So Hadri had, what happened first? The game began. Okay? Hadri had, the game began, or yeah, Hadri had, the game began. Began, it has you here. Okay? The began has you here. The past tense has a. The past participle has you. Okay? Hadri had, the game began. Then because we're using Hadri, we have to use when. Okay? When it started raining. So that's how to deal with as soon as, no sooner had, Hadri had. If you have questions, you can use the comment section, and for my students, you can just get in touch with me in my inbox. See you in the next lesson.